His ancestors were among the earliest settlers of Utah, their wagons carving trails across the barren landscape in search of religious freedom. Generations had built their lives on the principles of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Faith was not just a belief, it was the bedrock of their existence. Sunday services were non-negotiable, and every aspect of life was viewed through the lens of Mormon teachings. Scott grew up surrounded by the stories of his forefathers and their unwavering commitment to the church. He learned about their sacrifices, their resilience, and their unshakable faith in the face of adversity. These narratives were woven into the fabric of his childhood, shaping his understanding of the world and his place within it. His family attended church every Sunday, filling the pews with aunts, uncles, cousins, and grandparents. Despite this immersive upbringing, Scott's connection to Mormonism remained curiously detached. As a child, he dutifully attended services and participated in church activities. But his heart wasn't in it. He felt like an actor playing a part, going through the motions without truly embracing the underlying beliefs. The teenage years saw Scott drift further away from the church. He found himself questioning the rigid doctrines and the seemingly arbitrary rules. The allure of the outside world, with its diverse perspectives and experiences, proved far more tempting and inviting. As Scott entered adulthood, he found himself drawn back to the familiarity of the church. His marriage to Sarah, a devout Mormon, played a significant role in this return. He saw in her a genuine faith that he yearned for himself. The church offered a sense of community, a place where they could raise their children surrounded by shared values and beliefs. Scott hoped that by immersing himself in this environment, he too might find the spiritual fulfillment that had eluded him for so long. Their return to the fold was welcomed by both families. They were embraced with open arms, their presence filling a void that had been felt during Scott's years of estrangement. He threw himself into church activities, attending services, volunteering in youth groups, and participating in community outreach programs. For a while it seemed as though he had finally found his place. The doubts that had plagued him in his youth receded into the background, replaced by a desire to be a good husband, father, and member of the church. One particular Sunday, Scott attended a meeting that would forever alter his spiritual trajectory. He was sitting in sacrament meeting when he felt the Spirit of the Lord stirring his heart. The talk that day was New Testament based and focused more on Christ than usual, and ended with the song entitled, "I Stand All Amazed." The words rang out in his heart. I stand all amazed at the love Jesus offers me, confused at the grace that so fully he proffers me. I tremble to know that for me he was crucified, that for me a sinner he suffered, he bled and died. Oh, it is wonderful that he should care for me enough to die for me. Oh, it is wonderful, wonderful to me. Scott felt as though a veil had been lifted from his eyes, revealing a truth that had always been present, but never fully grasped. For perhaps the first time in his life, Scott experienced a profound spiritual awakening. He felt a connection to Christ, to his spirit at a level greater than he had felt before, a sense of grace and peace, a feeling he would not soon forget. Scott's elation was short-lived. When he tried to discuss his experience with church leaders, he was met with skepticism and resistance. They seemed more concerned with his adherence to doctrine than with the genuine spiritual awakening he described. His questions were dismissed, his insights brushed aside. The very institution that claimed to offer spiritual guidance seemed more interested in enforcing conformity than in nurturing individual faith journeys. This encounter planted seeds of doubt in Scott's mind. He began to see the church's emphasis on rules and regulations as a barrier to genuine spiritual connection. The focus on outward appearances, on meticulously following a prescribed set of beliefs and behaviors, felt stifling and inauthentic. He realized that true faith couldn't be dictated by an institution. It had to come from within, from a place of personal conviction and experience. The more Scott observed, the more disillusioned he became. He noticed how the church's emphasis on obedience and conformity often came at the expense of compassion and empathy. He saw how individuals who dared to question the beliefs of the LDS Church were ostracized and silenced. The very structure that was supposed to foster spiritual growth seemed instead to be hindering it, trapping people in a cycle of fear and judgment. Scott's journey took him down a path of exploration and re-evaluation of his Mormon faith. Seeing the holes and falsehoods of Mormonism, Scott stopped believing in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. When he started attending a small Christian fellowship church near him, his faith in Christ was rekindled and his joy returned. Scott writes, "I feel Mormons are the Pharisees returned, putting faith in the law and not in God." This experience has also shown me that I do not need to be a part of any church to invite Jesus into my life. He is with me at all times, and I have been shown the truth in the poem of Footprints in the Sand. Every day, I wake up feeling free in the knowledge that all I need to do is believe on Jesus to be saved. What a wonderful feeling to know that our salvation is in His hands.